Hello dear students, welcome to SJ's classes. In this video lesson, we will discuss the important events in chapter 9 of George Orwell's famous novella Animal Farm. In the previous chapter, we saw that the animals are having a very tough time on Manor Farm, which is now called Animal Farm. We read that the commandments, which were the core idea shared by all major, the fourth, fifth, and sixth commandments have been violated by the pigs who are enjoying a superior status on the farm. The commandment number 4, which earlier stated that no animal shall sleep in a bed, was altered into no animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. Commandment number 6, which earlier stated that no animal shall kill any other animal, was rewritten as no animal shall kill any other animal without a cause. At the end of chapter 8, we find that commandment number 5 is also rewritten by the pigs. The commandment said, no animal shall drink alcohol, and it was rewritten, no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. So we find that the pigs under the leadership of Napoleon is manipulating the events on the farm. They are trying to bring all the other animals under their control, and whatever that happens on the farm are according to the likes and dislikes of the pigs. In chapter 8, we also see that the pigs, or rather Napoleon, he decides to sell the timber to Pilkington of Oxford first of all, and he tells all other animals that Mr. Frederick is our enemy. But later on we see, as we read further, we see that Napoleon decides to sell the pile of timber to Mr. Frederick of the Pinchfield farm. Mr. Frederick cheats Napoleon by giving him fake banknotes, and also it is in chapter 8 that we see that Mr. Frederick along with a few other men tried to capture the animal farm. The animals, who had already undergone a battle titled Battle of Cowshed earlier against Mr. Jones and his men, did not have an easy time fighting against Mr. Frederick. Mr. Frederick and his men were more equipped, and they destroyed the windmill that the animals had struggled to construct, or constructed after a great struggle by filling in gunpowder, and they blast it. The animals are very much sad, and at the sight of the destroyed windmill, they gather their courage and confidence back, and they attack the human beings. They win the war in a particular sense. The animals do not understand why they have won, because they have lost so many of their colleagues, so many of their fellow animals. They have also lost the windmill which they were so proud of after being constructed. So they do not understand why Squealer and the other pigs call it a victory. It is in chapter 8 that we see Squealer announcing to the farm that Napoleon is dying. And that is because the pigs, along with Napoleon, had been consuming beer the previous night. They take it to that extent that none of the pigs wake up in the morning. And Napoleon is the one who has taken it all, who is the one who has been worst hit by it. He is found to have been dying in the morning. But as the day progresses, we understand that Napoleon is back to his routine. He progresses as far as his health is concerned, and all the pigs are happy about that. And that is when they rewrite the commandment number 5, that no animal shall drink alcohol to excess. That is where we stopped. That is where chapter 8 ends. Let us look at the important events in chapter 9. Chapter 9 begins with a narration on the disturbing condition of Boxer. We saw in chapter 8 that Boxer got hurt during the Battle of Windmill. He had a split hoof, and this was hurting him a lot, and this took a long time in healing. The animals restarted rebuilding the windmill just after the day of celebrations. They celebrated as the pigs, under the leadership of Napoleon, portrayed the event as a great success. So they celebrated, and just after the days of celebration, they restarted the work of building the windmill. And Boxer, even though he was hurt, he did not even take a day off from the work, and he made it a point of honor not to let it be seen that he was in pain. This is how strong this character is. He knows that he is the heart and soul of the farm, and he doesn't want anybody to be demotivated by his present health condition. So he sees it that he does not make anyone understand that he is in pain, that he is actually suffering. And in the evenings, he would privately admit to Clover that the hoof troubled him a great deal. So we understand that this character is suffering. He was a highly motivating personality for all the other animals on the farm, but as of now, he is struggling, but he gives the other animals another impression. He says to Clover that he has only one real ambition left: to see the windmill well underway before he reached the age for retirement. Now, the age of retirement was fixed at many different points for different animals. We also have a discussion on the different retirement ages of animals. Now, in the beginning, when the laws of Animal Farm were first formulated, the retiring age had been fixed for horses and pigs at 12, for cows at 14, for dogs at 9, for sheep at 7, and for hens and geese at 5. So the animals had their retiring ages at different points of their lifetime. And liberal old age pensions were also allowed for the animals. But as of yet, no animal had actually retired on pension. So these were only on papers, these were only said. It wasn't actually practiced on the farm. And it was also decided that the small field beyond the orchard will be set aside for barley. It was rumored that a corner of the large pasture was to be fenced off and turned into a grazing ground for superannuated animals, which means the retired animals. So you have a particular age at which you will retire from service. You will get old age pensions, and also you will get a restricted grazing ground once you retire. So these were the provisions for the retired animals. But as of now, no animal had retired on pension and other facilities. Life was still hard for the animals on the farm. They had began reconstructing the windmill, and also the rations were reduced. And you find that the rations were reduced only for the other animals except the pigs. The pigs were growing in size, the dogs were growing in size, and the rations were never reduced for them. In any case, Squealer did not have any difficulty in proving to the other animals that they were not in reality short of food, whatever the appearances might be. So, even though they were being provided less food, Squealer, through his excellent speeches, made the animals believe that, or persuaded the animals to believe that, nothing was actually short on farm. But we understand that the animals are not being fed properly. All the animals except the pigs. Squealer always spoke of the reduction in rations as readjustment. He never used the term reduction. This might, or this is one of his tactics. We know that he is a character who is able to make black look white and white look black. That is how capable, as far as his speeches are concerned. So he has this peculiar capability to persuade people into believing something or disbelieving something. Now the animals aren't able to decipher all this, because the earlier life have completely, they have forgotten about their earlier life. Jones and all he stood for had almost faded out of their memories. I had said this in previous videos, that the animals have very poor memory, and this is what is being exploited by the pigs. They did not know how life was earlier, and the pigs, especially Squealer, was taking advantage of this. And the animals believe what Squealer says. They believe what the pigs say, that life is actually better from earlier days. Now, the number of animals on the farm were on the increase, especially with regard to the pigs. The four sows, the female pigs on the farm, had given birth to newborns simultaneously, and they produced around 31 young pigs. And we understand as we read that Napoleon is only the only boar on the farm, and all these young ones, piglets, they belong to Napoleon. And these young ones, these piglets, were asked to exercise in the garden, and they were discouraged from playing with the other young animals. So this is a kind of partiality being worked out, just like the ancient caste system that we had in our land. You have the higher caste as well as lower caste, and the higher caste members were not allowed to mingle with the people or the members of the lower class. So something like a class system is being worked out here by the pigs. The young ones of the pigs were not allowed to mingle with the young ones of the other animals on the farm. And a new rule was implemented. Whenever a pig and any other animal met on the path, the other animal must stand aside, just like the caste system that we had earlier. The other animal must stand aside, and also that all pigs of whatever dignity were to have the privilege of wearing green ribbons on their tails on Sundays. So these green ribbons acted as something which demarcated them out of the crowd. This was a symbol of privilege. This is what gave them superiority above the other animals. So many new things were implemented on the farm, and all these things gave an upper hand to the pigs. As we read further, we understand that the rations which were reduced earlier in December were again reduced in February, and lanterns were also forbidden in the stores so as to save oil. So in spite of the fact that Squealer every day gave excellent speeches on how they have improved on the productions, the animals whatever they were getting were in reduced number or reduced quantity. And one afternoon in late February, an appetizing scent comes to these animals, and this was something which they had never smelt before. The animals were so hungry that they sniffed for the scent in the air, and they wondered that something delicious was being prepared for them for supper. But as we read further, we understand that the animals decided to reserve uh, all the barley for the pigs, and the reason why they decide this is they had started to brew beer on the farm, and they were using barley to brew beer. And the news soon leaked out that every pig was now receiving a ration of a pint of beer daily, and Napoleon himself got a gallon of beer. So they had started brewing on the farm, and they were getting rations of beer every day, all the pigs. Napoleon also talks about, or rather, he decides to conduct something called spontaneous demonstration on the farm. And the objective of this particular demonstration was to celebrate the struggles and triumphs of Animal Farm. There was a peculiar feature to do this. There was a peculiar method to do this. At an appointed time, the animals would leave their work and they would march around the precincts of the farm in military formation. Look at the kind of military discipline that Napoleon is bringing onto the farm. So they will march around the precincts of the farm in military formation, and there is an order to be followed. The pigs will lead, then the horses, then the cows, then the sheep, and then the poultry. So it was a systematic method of celebration. It wasn't something, or it wasn't an occasion where the animals could revel as they like. There was a method, there was a system, there was a procedure to be followed. After the marching, poems which were written in Napoleon's honor were recited, and Squealer, as usual, he gave speeches on particulars of the latest increases in production. These increase happens to be only on papers, only on in the speeches given by Squealer. The animals never enjoy luxury. All the animals except pigs. In April, the Animal Farm was proclaimed a republic and it became necessary to elect a president. And I hope you know who will become the president. There was only one candidate, and that candidate was elected unanimously by everybody. That candidate was Napoleon. And again, you find the presence of Snowball in this chapter as well. In the earlier chapter 2, we found his presence. He was argued to be in Pinchfield along with Mr. Frederick, plotting attacks against Animal Farm. We find his presence in this chapter as well. Fresh documents were recovered, which revealed further details about Snowball's complicity with Jones. And it now appeared that Snowball had not merely attempted to lose the Battle of Cowshed by means of a stratagem. So even though Snowball were fighting for the animals, he had a strategy to work out. His strategy was to make the animals fail in the Battle of Cowshed. And it is also discovered that Snowball had been openly fighting on John's side. The animals have a poor memory. Right now, they believe what these pigs, the Napoleon and Squealer say. So now, when the pigs say that Snowball had been fighting openly on John's side, the animals have no other go. They believe it because they have a poor memory. As of now, they don't remember even the Battle of Cowshed. They only have a vague memory regarding it. And it is also said that in fact it was he who had actually been the leader of the human forces. Look at how Napoleon and the other pigs frame the entire event. As readers, we know what happened, but these poor animals, they are not able to decipher what is truth and what is fiction. The pigs say that it was Snowball who led the human side during the Battle of Cowshed. Now Moses, the raven, the special pet of Mr. Jones, he had been missing all this while, and in the middle of summer he returns, he reappears, and he has got nothing to talk about except Sugar Candy Mountain. He continues to talk about Sugar Candy Mountain, and he says, "Up there, comrades, just on the other side of the dark cloud, you can see there it lies, Sugar Candy Mountain, that happy country where we poor animals shall rest forever from our labors." So earlier we had come across this character and this concept of Sugar Candy Mountain. He says that Moses says that this is the place that where we go after our death. There it is Sunday, all days of in a week. You get all sorts of food over there at any point of year. So these are the offerings or the promises given by Moses. The pigs and the animals have a tough time dealing with this. Some of the animals believe in Moses because they are undergoing misery. So when they hear words of hope, they fall for it and they believe this concept of sugar candy mountain. But most of the others, especially the pigs, they don't believe Moses and they have a tough time dealing with this character. And Moses takes it to that extent where he says that he has seen these particular places during his higher flights, and he says that he has seen the everlasting fields of clover and the linseed cake and lump sugar growing on the hedges. So Moses argues that he has even seen this place. So a character who has been missing all this while he reappears in chapter number 9. Now we again come back to Boxer. We read that he had hurt himself in chapter 8 and his the wound was causing him severe trouble. His hoof had he healed up, and then Boxer starts to work hard again, and he even worked for longer hours after that, and that too on insufficient food. But none of it affected Boxer. He continued working. He returned to his previous physical state and he continued to work. And it was only his appearance that had changed a bit. All the rest of the factors remained the same, especially his enthusiasm with respect to work. Now, Clover and Benjamin, they want him to take care of his health, but we find that Boxer pays no attention to it. He did not care what happened so long as a good store of stone was accumulated before he went on pension. So this was his ambition, to see the windmill constructed. It was first destroyed by the strong wind, and it was destroyed the second time by Mr. Frederick and his friends. It is the third time that they are constructing this structure, and as of now Boxer wants it to be completed before he retires. Things started to go good for the animals on the farm, but that is when a certain event happens on the farm. Late one evening in summer, a sudden rumor ran round the farm that something had happened to Boxer. Now, Boxer is a very important character as far as the animals on the farm is concerned. He is a great help to them. He is a motivating factor. He is an inspiring person, animal on the farm. So there are many factors which brings or which makes Boxer a very important character for the animals on the farm. And one evening they come across the news that something has happened to him. A few minutes later, two pigeons come racing in with the news. Boxer has fallen. He is lying on his side and can't get up. And everyone was shocked to listen to this. All the animals gather around Boxer. Uh, Clover is the one who is very close to him. Clover and Benjamin are the two characters who are very close to Boxer, and especially Clover, because it is to Clover that we read earlier that Boxer discloses his actual feeling with regard to the wound that he has. Boxer, she cried, how are you? Boxer says, it is my lung. It does not matter. I think you will be able to finish the windmill without me. There is a pretty good store of stone accumulated. So even at this point, Boxer seems to be happy. He seems to be, satisfied that he has done the work which was assigned to him. He says that a good store of stone has been accumulated for the construction of the windmill. I had only another month to go in any case. Month of retirement. That is what Boxer is talking about. To tell you the truth, I had been looking forward to my retirement. So the first time we understand that Boxer looks forward to his retirement. He wants to retire. He wants to quit working hard like this. And we realize that that is probably because of the hurt that he has received. All the animals they race back to farmhouse to give Squealer the news. After quarter of an hour, Squealer appears, and he appears with full of sympathy and concern. He says that Comrade Napoleon has learned with the very deepest distress of this misfortune to one of the most loyal workers on the farm. Now Napoleon doesn't appear before everyone. He sends message, and he uses Squealer as a messenger. So Comrade Napoleon had learned with the very deepest distress of this misfortune to one of the most loyal workers on the farm. Napoleon doesn't even turn up to see the most loyal workers on the farm. That is what we need to gather from this moment. And was already making arrangements to send Boxer to be treated in the hospital at Wellington. So as of now, we realize that Boxer is to be taken care of, and Napoleon is working on that. He has made all the arrangements at a hospital in Wellington to take care of Boxer. Boxer, when he somewhat recovers, when he is able to walk, he with much difficulty gets back to his feet and manages to limp back to his stall. And Clover and Benjamin stays with him. They had made a good bed out of straw for him. And it was in the middle of the day when a van comes to take Boxer away. Everybody is under the impression that Napoleon has made arrangements with someone at Wellington Hospital to take care of Boxer, and that the van is from the hospital, and Boxer is on his way to recovery. Let us look at what really happens to him. It's Benjamin who comes galloping from the direction of the farm building, braying at the top of his voice. Why is he braying like this? It was first time that they had ever seen Benjamin excited. Don't think Benjamin is excited because the van from hospital has come and Boxer is soon to be shifted to the hospital and would be taken care of. This is something else. Quick, quick, Benjamin says. Come at once. They are taking Boxer away. Without waiting for orders from the pig, the animals broke off work and raced back to the farm buildings. Sure enough, there in the yard was a large closed van drawn by two horses, with lettering on its side and a sly-looking man in a low-crowned bowler hat sitting on the driver's seat. So as of now, the animals have no idea as to what is to happen or why Benjamin was too much excited. All they now know is that Boxer is going to be shifted to the hospital. The animals they gather around, they crowd around the van and they say bid goodbye to Boxer. But Benjamin knows the truth. Fools! Fools! That is what Benjamin calls the animals. And he says, Fools, do you not see what is written on the side of that van? We know how far the animals are educated. They are not even able to read the commandments properly. They can't even remember the commandments properly. So obviously they won't be able to read whatever that is written on the side of the van. And what is it written on the side of the van? Alfred Simmons, horse slaughterer, and glue boiler, Wellington, dealer in hides and bone meal, kennels supplied. I hope you understood what is happening. And Benjamin asked the same to the other animals. Do you not understand what that means? They are taking Boxer to the knackers. Knacker is a person who sells horse meat, who trades horse meat, and Boxer was being sold off. Now this is a moment of shock for the animals. A cry of horror burst from all the animals. But at this moment, the man on the box whipped up his horses, and the van moves out. The animals try to let the Boxer know that he is being taken to his end, his death, but it's of no use. The van goes and they lose Boxer. Boxer was never seen again, and 3 days later the news comes that Boxer has died at a hospital in Wellington. Squealer is the person who is sent again to make the animals understand the situation. Squealer, he comes and says that he had been present during the Boxer's last hours, and he graphically describes his last moments. He says, It was the most affecting sight I have ever seen. I was at his bedside at the very last, and at the end, almost too weak to speak, he whispered in my ear that his sole sorrow was to have passed on before the windmill was finished. Forward in the name of the rebellion! Long live Animal Farm! Long live Comrade Napoleon! Napoleon is always right. So he constructed a speech so brilliantly that the animals would definitely believe that these are actually the words of Boxer. As always, the animals do believe it, and the animals, they are relieved to hear this. Squealer also, as I said earlier, narrates the final moments of his death, and he also talked about the admirable care he had received and the expensive medicines for which Napoleon had paid without a thought. As we readers, we know that he was sold off, Boxer was sold off, and he was sold off for meat, and it was the most loyal subject that was sold off to a person, that too as part of a business, to get money instead of the horse meat. Napoleon himself appeared at the meeting on the following Sunday morning and pronounced a short oration in Boxer's honor. He ended his speech with a reminder of Boxer's two favorite maxims. Look at what he picks out of the most inspirational character that they had on the farm. He picks out the first maxim, which is I will work harder, and the second maxim, which is Comrade Napoleon is always right. And he tells all the other animals that you need to adopt this, that I will work harder and Comrade Napoleon is always right. So Napoleon uses Boxer even in his death. And a banquet was decided to celebrate the occasion, not to celebrate Boxer's death, but to commemorate his memories. And the day of the banquet came, and a grocer's van drove up from Wellington and delivered a large wooden crate at the farmhouse. And animals did not know what was in the package, but that night there was uproarious singing from the farmhouse, and there were also violent choral, and it ended about 11 o'clock with a tremendous clash of glass. And next morning no one stirred in the farmhouse, just like the day after they had consumed beer. And later the word went round that from somewhere or other the pigs had acquired the money to buy themselves another case of whiskey. So earlier it was beer, now they have shifted to whiskey. So that is where chapter 9 ends. We have only one chapter left in this novella to discuss, which is chapter 10. In the next video lesson, I will discuss chapter 10 of Animal Farm. Thank you for watching and listening to me. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.